Welcome back. We got another episode of Let 'Em Ride coming at you. We're going to be going over the three-game slate for the WNBA action on Sunday, June 30th. We're going to break down and analyze each of those games, talk about which way that I'm leaning as far as the points and the spread, and then any plays that I put in for those games, I will have listed down below in the pinned comment later on. So don't forget to check back in. That way you don't miss out on any of those. And then to recap our picks from Saturday, we did end up taking the Mystics team total over 79.5. Washington comes out and they drop 52 on Vegas in the first half. They go in with a lead. And they come out in the third quarter, and it's starting to feel like it's going to be a little shaky, right? But we get to the fourth, and we only need 11 points to hit this bet. They score 8. So we do not end up cashing on this one. We had the Storm laying 10.5 over the Wings, and DraftKings gave us a 33% profit boost to use on the night. So we throw that on this pick here, and that does hit for us. So that ends up being a plus 115 hit. So we split on the night 1-1, but with that plus 115 hit, we don't lose any money. We make just a little bit of money. So we are up just under 9 units on the year, and we are sitting at a 21-13 record overall. So let's get into these picks here tonight, guys. Let's see if we can't stack up on these units a little bit more and get some more wins underneath our belt. And our first game of the afternoon, we have the Atlanta Dream taking on the New York Liberty. The Liberty at home in this one, laying 14 with the over-under sitting at 166. The Liberty had won 11 of 12 before their loss to the Lynx for that Commissioner's Cup. And they come into this one with a 3-day rest advantage over the Dream. They are 9-1 at home this year. They're only 2-8 to the number. In fact, the Liberty have been double-digit favorites now 10 times so far this year, and they have only cashed in one of those instances. Now, Atlanta has lost 3 straight after Ryan Howard went out with an ankle injury, but then they won their last meeting outright as 10-point dogs against Connecticut, in Connecticut. They are the worst ranked offense in the W, with the worst effective field goal and true shooting percentages as well. The Dreams score the highest percentage of their points from the mid-range and from the free throw line. That's more than anyone else in the league. But the Liberty give up the fewest free throws and hold their opponents to just over 42% from the field. That's good for third in the W. The Liberty are first in points per game, first in field goal percentage, and first in three-pointers made, while the Dream are middle of the pack defensively and ranking 6th in defensive rating. With the Liberty struggles to cover these double-digit spreads, I'm hesitant to play the full game side, but I'm not looking to fade this Liberty's team in a bounce-back spot with the rest advantage at home against a middle-of-the-pack injured Atlanta team. So I'm going to lean New York. I may look at them early first quarter or first half, so be sure to check back into that pinned comment later on so you can see what I end up riding with on that one, if I put anything in as far as the side on this game. New York should be at full strength for this one as well as far as injuries are concerned, so that's a positive also. And then looking at the total, I'm leaning over, but I'm looking at the Liberty team total over more than anything, more than the full game in this one. They have scored at least 90 or more in their last 5 home games and also dropped 96 on Atlanta in their previous meeting. Atlanta plays just okay defense, and they lack the depth to keep up with the amount of ways that New York can beat you offensively. So I like New York with that team total over. It's at 90.5. I think that's a good look right now. In our next game, we have the Minnesota Lynx taking on the Chicago Sky. The Lynx are laying 6 in this one with the over-under sitting at 162.5. This line opened up at 3.5 a day ago, I think. I jumped all over when I saw it. I've already got my bet in on that Lynx minus 3.5. It's since moved up to 6, but I still don't know how you look any other way but Minnesota here. They are 13-4 straight up. They were 12-5 to the number on the year. But they're coming in off a loss to one of the worst teams in the league in Dallas, a team in which they held a 13-point lead over in the first, but the Commissioner Cup hangover caught up to them, and they were outscored by 19 the rest of the way. But both teams are coming in with equal rest of 2 days off in between action. The Sky lost their last game to the Aces by 12 after a short 2-game win streak. But the Sky are just 2-5 through their last 7, and they are 1-6 to the number in that time. The Lynx beat the Sky by 11 in Minnesota earlier this year, and the Sky still had Elizabeth Williams at that time. The interior depth has been challenged in her absence, and that's bad news going up against Alana Smith and Nafisha Collier and trying to contain them on the offensive end. The Lynx are the best defensive team in the W, and with the struggle Chicago possesses from the perimeter, Minnesota can focus its attention in on Angel Reese and just collapsing the paint in general. Minnesota, they're also shooting the 3 at a 40% rate on the year. They're first in the W in that regard, and then they are second in effective field goal percentage, and they are third in true shooting percentage. The Lynx do give up the most offensive rebounds in the W, however, and Chicago, led by Angel Reese, they eat in this department. They are ranked first in the league. But the Lynx are 4-3 on the road this year, and they are 5-2 to the number in that span, while Chicago is just 3-6 both straight up and to the number while at home. So I like Minnesota to cover here in a bounce back spot after that upset loss to Dallas. I think they simply just have too much firepower offensively for Chicago to contend with, as Minnesota can beat you inside and from the perimeter. And then defensively, they get after the ball, they're aggressive, and they force the third most turnovers while scoring the most points off of those turnovers in the league. So give me Minnesota all day here. And then I'll lean under here because of Minnesota's top-ranked defense and the fact that they are playing at the second slowest pace in the W. But I'm tempted to look at their team total over of 84.5, as I feel they're going to come in ready to play and make a statement after that loss to Dallas. And then for our third and final game on the slate, we have the Indiana Fever taking on the Phoenix Mercury. Phoenix is laying 7 in this one. The over-under is sitting at 171. Now, after winning 5 of 6, the Fever have now dropped 2 straight on the road to Chicago and Seattle. And the Fever do have the rest advantage here, but they are on the road for the 4th game of a 5-game road trip. The Mercury, meanwhile, are on the 2nd game of a 3-game homestand. So despite the 1-day rest disadvantage, the Mercury situational, in my opinion, are still in the better spot. The Mercury are now 5-2 straight up and 6-1 to the number since the returns of BG and Becca Allen. And over those last 7, the Mercury are averaging 87 points per game. They're shooting 47% from the field. That's good for 4th overall. The Fever in that same time span are averaging 85 points per game on 48% shooting and 41% shooting from downtown. The difference here is the defenses, and while the Mercury have been pretty middle of the pack defensively, they're just 8th in defensive rating on the year, but they are 5th in their last 7 games since the returns of Allen and BG. The Fever have been dead last throughout the course of the season. And also in their last 7, the Fever are committing 14 turnovers per game, while the Mercury are getting the 3rd most points off turnovers in that time. So I'll lean Phoenix at home on the side, and for the total, until proven otherwise, it's been profitable to bet the over in these Fever games, as they are now 14-5 to the over on the year. And Phoenix is averaging just under 88 points per game in their last 7. They play at the 3rd fastest pace in the W. I'm looking at the Mercury first quarter team total over 22.5 as well. Indiana has struggled in a major way defensively in the first quarter. They've given up this total to the opposition in 7 of their last 10. All right, guys, that's just about going to wrap us up here for another episode of Let 'Em Ride. Before we get out of here, though, let's review what we went over in today's video and talk about which way that we are leaning. I'm looking at the Liberty team total over 90.5, then the Lynx team total over 84.5, and then the Mercury first quarter team total over 22.5. We are team total over gang today. That's where I'm leaning. That's what I'm looking at. And then I already put my bet in for the Lynx, laying 3.5 points. I caught that one early. It has ballooned up to them laying 6, but I would still lean that as well. So that's what I'm looking at today. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, you liked the content and found it helpful in any kind of way, found it useful, please don't forget to hit that like button down there for me. And hit subscribe if you have not already. That way you don't miss out on any of the content that we're dropping. And if you can hit share, I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. That's going to wrap us up here. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, man, and I will see you on the next one. Best of luck tonight.